Hello, everyone. I'm Lizette Gabriel, and I work as a librarian in the Business and Economics Department here at the Los Angeles Public Library. Welcome to today's presentation called Get Banked and the Advanced Child Tax Credit. This program is part of an ongoing series of programs intended to support financial planning in October, and is brought to you by the Alliance for Economic Inclusion, BankOn LA County, and LAPL. Today's presenters are Mary Duran from the FDIC and Denisha Smith from BankOn LA County. They will talk to you about the benefits of opening a bank account, the resources available to get you started, and the different types of accounts available. They will also discuss what you need to know about the new Advanced Child Tax Credit. Please send us your questions throughout the program, and we will have a Q&A session after the presentation. I'd now like to pass the presentation over to Mary and Donisha.
Thank you, Lizette, and I want to thank the Los Angeles Public Library for inviting the Los Angeles Alliance for Economic Inclusion, an initiative of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, to present this workshop today and to share with you why banked is better. Next slide. So I wanted to let you know that this presentation represents the views of the speakers and not necessarily those of the agencies that we represent. And this presentation cannot be reproduced or distributed by a third party or a third party's website without prior authorization. Next. So what do we hope to learn today or to share with you? Well, first of all, why should you get banked? Information on the child tax credit, financial products, services, and providers, opening a bank account, managing a bank account, how to get started, information on BankOn Los Angeles County, and provide you with some resources. Next. So who is the FDIC? Well, we're the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is an independent agency created by Congress in 1933 to maintain stability and public confidence in the nation's financial system by insuring deposits, examining and supervising financial institutions for safety and soundness and consumer protection, and managing bank receiverships. And that occurs when a bank is closed. We take them over to ensure that the deposits in all the accounts are maintained for all the clients. Next. So why should you get banked? Opening a bank account can be one of the most important steps you take toward reaching your financial goals. Why? Because putting your money in an FDIC insured bank account can offer you financial safety, easy access to your funds, savings from check cashing fees, and overall financial peace of mind. If you do not currently have a bank account but have been thinking about opening them, here are some things you should consider. First of all, child tax credits can be automatically deposited into your bank account. Next. So what's this advanced child tax credit? Well, child tax credits will help many families get advance payments of their credit starting July 15. Half of the total credit amount is being paid in advance via monthly payments. You can claim the other half when you file your 2021 income tax returns. For the tax year 2021, a qualifying child is an individual who does not turn 18 before January 1st of 2022. You can visit the IRS website for additional details as they have an extensive list of frequently asked questions. And by having had a checking account, you can have had that payment automatically deposited, so you would not have to wait for a paper check to arrive in the mail. Next. Oh, back one. So there's 10 reasons for getting banked. Your money is saved. It's protected against error and fraud. You can get your money faster with no check cashing fees. You can make online purchases with ease and peace of mind. You can have access to other products from the bank. Next. You can transfer money to family and friends with ease. You would have a proof of payment. You can keep an eye on how much money you have. You can set useful alerts, and you can pay your bills from wherever you are. And as mentioned before, an 11th reason would be that advanced child tax credits could be automatically deposited into your bank account. Next. So I'm going to start now discussing the financial products and services and who provides them. Next. So the key takeaway from today is to consider your needs and shop around for the financial product and service that best meets your needs. Next. So financial institutions, banks and credit unions accept deposits of money, lend money via credit cards or car loans or personal loans or mortgage loans. And they also offer a number of other products and services such as money orders or cashier's checks, wire transfers, and some of them offer safe deposit boxes as well. Next. So what's the difference between a bank and a credit union? Well, actually, they're somewhat similar. Banks have customers, while credit unions have members. You have to be a member to join, or qualify as a member to join the credit union. And there's specific criteria to becoming a member. Some are based on your work, so a credit union that is based on your organization, the company you work for. Some of them are based on military service. Credit unions are not for-profit organizations, and they're owned by the members, whereas a bank is owned by the shareholders or stockholders, and generally are for-profit organizations. Next. So the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation protects the funds deposited at a federally insured bank in case of a bank failure. And this logo is what you generally will see on a bank's door as you enter. And you have insurance up to at least $250,000 per depositor per FDIC insured bank per ownership category. So what this means is if you have an account that's you're just the person on it, that account is $250,000 insured. But if you have also an account with you and someone else, so it has a different ownership category because it's two people, that account is also insured to at least $250,000. Next. The National Credit Union Administration, the NCUA, is a separate federal agency that insures the deposits at credit unions, and they have a similar threshold of $250,000 per deposit. So next, how do you access your services at a bank or a credit union? So you can access it through the branches or the retail locations, through an ATM, through a customer service phone number and email, through their websites, and many now offer mobile banking and smartphone applications. In fact, most of them do. And you can also request reasonable accommodations if you need them. Next. So, what financial products and services do you need? So think about whether you need to save money, spend money, manage money, or borrow money. So it's essential that you start with your needs and determining what kind of an account you need. Next. So now we're going to cover how to open a bank account. Next. So the takeaway from this is know the general process for opening savings or checking accounts, including options if you are unable to initially open an account. Next. So savings and checking accounts, as I mentioned, provide safety and security through the federal deposit insurance. They can earn interest depending on the type of account, such as a savings account, or a money market account, provide interest. It's convenient. It's the core of a relationship building with your financial institution, having a checking and savings account, then helping to move on to a credit account. And it's an important consumer protection as there are various regulations that protect your deposits. Next. Next slide. Whoops, one too many. Back to 21. So some people may find the thought of opening an account intimidating, and that's okay. But the process can be straightforward, and once you know it, it won't be so intimidating. You can open an account by visiting one of their branches, or you may also be able to open it on a computer or through a mobile device. We want to talk about the process of opening an account in general. Please know that each financial institution has its own procedures for opening a bank account, but in general, you will need to complete an application in person or online, and generally you need to have the following identifications to verify who you are when opening the account. So a driver's license or a state-issued ID or a passport or a military ID would serve as one of them. You need to have a social security number or an individual taxpayer identification number, generally referred to as ITIN. You may need to provide a second piece of identification, such as a piece of mail addressed to you at your current address or a copy of your current lease to help provide where you live, where you say you do. If you're opening a checking account, you'll likely be asked if you want to opt into a program to handle overdrafts, which I will discuss further a little later. You will need to make a first deposit. You're going to receive disclosures, and these are information, either paper or electronically, that provide the key facts that you need to know about your account. And how to activate your account. So if you're online, they may send a confirming email that you're opening the account that you need to respond to. Or if you're getting ATM or a debit card, you'll have to activate those as well. And this is an opportunity for you to ask as many questions as you have. It's your right and your opportunity to ask the questions so that you fully understand the kind of account that you're opening. Next slide. I wanted to spend a little time talking about opt-in and how it relates to handling overdrafts, because this is a new law that was enacted a few years ago. And so by law, everyone is opted out, and you have the option to opt in. Now, oftentimes when you open the account, the bank may try to convince you to opt in, but you should understand what it means and how it relates to overdrafts. So transactions that go through to the bank, to your account, but there's not enough money to cover the account, therefore would cause a potential overdraft situation. The programs cover overdraft for ATM cards and debit card transactions. So it doesn't cover it for checks. So the opt-in, so they're asking you to opt in. So in certain transactions, they will charge you a fee if you opt in. If you don't opt in, then the transaction is just declined. You made a debit for $100, but you didn't have $100, so they just decline the debit transaction to your account, and you're not charged a fee. If you decide to opt in, then banks decide if they're going to cover the check and other payments that would cause an overdraft if it was processed. So if it's covered, they're going to charge you an overdraft fee. If it's not covered, if they look at the transaction and say, no, they don't have enough money in the account and we're not going to pay it, they'll still charge you a fee for having made that decision. But if you stayed opted out, they will not charge you a fee if they decline the transaction. And this is only for transactions that come through in the ATM or through your debit card. It does not cover checks. So if you pay your rent via a check and the check comes in, they still will make a decision whether or not to pay your rent check. But if you were to pay your rent through a debit card, then if you remain opted out and that transaction came through, they just wouldn't pay it. Now, if you opted in and it's your rent check, several, $1,000 or so, and they say, well, the account's still too new, or, usually they don't have this kind of money, so we're not going to pay it, but we're still going to charge them a fee. So that's the difference between staying opt out and being opted in. You have to opt in. The bank will review the transaction. If they decide to pay it, you'll be charged an overdraft fee. If they decide not to pay it, you'll be charged a fee. Hope that didn't confuse you too much. And if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat room. So next, I wanted to talk about the process about opening an account. And we assume that persons applying for the account are going to get approved, but not everyone is approved to open up a checking or savings account. Often the bank accesses a report from the consumer reporting companies that keep track of negative information related to how consumers use their deposit accounts. These reports are referred to as a bank history report. They contain information on unpaid negative balances on accounts, suspected fraud, and accounts closed by the financial institution, such as the account owner mismanaged the account. You have the right to one free report from each agency every 12 months. Or if your application to open an account is turned down because of the information of these reports, you have the right to file a dispute to correct the reports. Next slide. So how do you request a bank history report? Now, this is different than a credit report. There's two different kinds of reports. Many people are familiar with a credit report, but this is a different report. This is a report, generally most banks use check systems, and this report is about how you handle a checking or savings account. And so if you would like to receive one, you would, here's the information of how to request one by phone or via check systems. And there's also a different report, Get Your Early Warning Services, and there's a email, a website address on how to get that particular form. Next. So your takeaway, and I hope we provided you with enough information, is to know the general process for opening a savings or checking account, including options if you're unable to open an account. So we shared with you the information you need to open an account, the documents you need to take to the bank, or the documents needed for an online opening of an account. And then we shared what you have to do if they decline it, because you have some information on check systems. Next. So now I want to talk about managing your account. Next. The takeaway from this is to learn the rules of your account, keep track of how you're using your account, and to help you keep costs down and develop a positive banking relationship. So next. So read the rules of your account. Keep track of the deposits and withdrawals. You can use a mobile app to do this, or your financial institution may have an online banking system on how to use it. There's a number of other programs, or the old-fashioned way, a transaction register, which is actually what I do. I still write down all my checks and all the debits. I go every couple of days online to my bank account, and I check off the transactions that already hit my account, and also maybe there's some pending ones. So I went down to in and out, and I didn't really put that in my checkbook, but I see that I've got $10.50 that's going to hit. So I make sure I put that in there, and I keep track. There's also other, things that I do and that you should do is review your account statements. Since I keep track almost, daily or every other day about the transactions that are hitting my account, I've realized that it's important to review my account statement, because oftentimes the bank has disclosures on there as to what they're doing or changing related to your account. So you want to make sure you receive those. You also can just apply on some of these accounts for them to alert you of any changes through email or text accounts. Text alerts, I mean. Next. So we also wanted to share with you about considering setting up a direct deposit. It allows your money to be safely and securely deposited into your account electronically. This is particularly very helpful for your paycheck. It automatically goes in, there's no holes on it, and you have access to the money on the day you're getting paid. Also, although many banks now offer the ability for you to deposit your account, deposit a check using your phone, you may not need to go to a bank. But if you're not feel comfortable doing a deposit using your phone, you still need to go to the bank to deposit your check. So as I mentioned, many employers do offer a direct deposit automatically, and you can also have them deposit some money into your savings account. So maybe most of it goes into your checking, but a little bit goes into your savings every month. And what's also important is that your IRS and state tax refunds can be automatically deposited into your bank account, and you can also split your deposit between your checking and savings account. During the pandemic, we really learned that having your refunds going straight into your checking or savings account was much more timely than trying to wait for a check to arrive in the mail. The stimulus payments went directly into your account. You did not have to wait for a check to come in the mail. And as I mentioned, any child tax credits or any other government credits that may come down the pipeline will be automatically deposited into your account if you qualify for them, and if you've set up your account with the IRS for automatic deposits. Next. So the key takeaway is to learn the rules of your account, keep track of your account, and make sure you manage your account appropriately so you can keep your costs down and develop a positive banking relationship. A little later, we'll be talking about checklist checking accounts to ensure you don't run into overdraft situations. So how do you get started? Next. So I just talked about a checklist checking account. It could be a good option if you're thinking about opening your first bank account. You can make purchases with a debit card instead of writing checks. And I know that many of today's younger people don't really know what a check is or don't use it. So having a checkless checking account is probably a better way because you're protected through that opt-in, and it's a way to avoid overdraft fees. Checklist checking accounts typically avoid spending more than the amount available in the account, because if you go to use the debit card and you don't have enough money in your account, it usually won't let you make the transaction. So many FDIC banks have options to open an account online, and you can also schedule an appointment to open an account in person at your local bank if that's what your preference is. And at this point, I would like to turn it over to my co-presenter, Donisha Smith, who will talk about where you can information about these checklist checking accounts and BankOn. Donisha?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mary, and thank you to the LA Public Library for hosting this session today and giving me the opportunity to participate. My name is Donisha Smith. I oversee the Center for Financial Empowerment, which is a unit housed within the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. Next slide. Before I tell you more about our BankOn initiative, I think it would be helpful for me to share a little bit about our department for context. So again, I'm with the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, also known as DCBA, and we work to promote a fair and vibrant marketplace here in Los Angeles County. And we do that by serving consumers, businesses, and communities through education, advocacy, and complaint resolution. So you can think of us as your local resource for consumer protection issues. Our department consists of many different free services. We have fraud investigators. We investigate situations like elder financial abuse and real estate fraud. We have a small claims advisory program that helps LA County residents navigate the small claims court process. We do free mediations. We enforce the county's minimum wage ordinance, and we also enforce the county's rent stabilization ordinance. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more background and context about who DCBA is. Next slide. So as I mentioned to you, I oversee the Center for Financial Empowerment, also known as the CFE. The CFE convenes, advocates, and builds capacity to strengthen the financial health of county residents with a focus on BIPOC communities to build economic resiliency. We oversee the BankOn LA County initiative, and we manage a number of programs and advocacy efforts to help improve the financial well-being of vulnerable populations throughout the county. Next slide. So now that you know a little bit more about DCBA, let's dive into BankOn LA County. I'll share a few slides with you about this initiative. Next slide. So BankOn is a national movement to increase access to safe and affordable bank and credit union accounts. The national program is overseen by the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, and they're headquartered in New York City. It's estimated that there are roughly 63 million adults in the US who are unbanked or underbanked. And as a result of that, they rely on very expensive alternative financial services like check cashers, payday lenders, pawn shop loans, etc., for routine financial transactions. It's estimated that people who are unbanked or underbanked can spend $40,000 or more over the course of their lifetime managing their finances. And that's money that's paid on unnecessary fees as a result of being banked. So being unbanked is very costly and expensive. Access to a basic transaction account is an important first step in participating in the financial mainstream and having the ability to deposit earnings securely, pay bills efficiently, and save for future emergencies. Next slide. In Los Angeles County, it's estimated that there are over 1 million residents here that are unbanked. Our unbanked rate, unfortunately, is higher than the national average. So again, being unbanked is very costly and expensive when you have to rely on financial services provided outside of the financial mainstream. So with the BankOn initiative, our goal is to bring more folks into the financial mainstream by giving them access to safe and affordable checking accounts. And most of them are the checklist checking accounts that Mary just described. Next slide. So what's great about this initiative is that the CFE Fund has developed a comprehensive list of account standards for banks and credit unions to abide by. So when you open one of these accounts, you have the peace of mind that the account meets certain criteria that has been deemed safe, affordable, and functional for everyday use for consumers across the country. This includes no overdraft fees, no inactivity fees, access to bill pay, free telephone banking, and other conveniences. And so I realize that the slide here may be a little bit difficult to see, but we do have all of the account terms and conditions that indicate what it means for an account to be BankOn compliant. If you're unable to see that slide, you can always visit joinbankon.org, and you can print out the list of the national account standards. And as you'll see, there are about 15 account standards that participating financial institutions have to meet in order to be a part of this initiative. And then what's even better is that the accounts, before they are accepted or adopted into the program, the accounts are reviewed and vetted by the National Consumer Law Center. And so they review the accounts to make sure it meets all of these standards. And so again, that gives us peace of mind as consumers to know that there's an entity that has reviewed this account and ensured that it meets the standards and that it's an affordable, safe product for use. Next slide. As Mary alluded to, the pandemic really highlighted the importance of having a bank account. Having a bank account has been critical to receive stimulus payments, unemployment benefits, and other emergency benefits. It's a great way to receive those benefits fast, safely, and remotely. Several of our financial institution partners allow for online account opening. And so that is, even more of a benefit to being a part of this initiative, is that not only are the accounts safe, affordable, and transactional, but that some of the participating financial institutions also allow for the accounts to be opened online. So given our current environment with the pandemic, you can open that account for the comfort and safety of your own home without having to visit a bank branch. Next slide. So if you visit our website at dcba.lacounty.gov, you'll find access to all of this information. There's videos that provide an overview of what BankOn is. You can see our list of partnering financial institutions. This document here is a screenshot of a matrix that we have on our website that is very helpful. It helps you to compare and contrast account features from the various financial institution partners that are part of this initiative. So that's a really nice document to review. And again, there's more information on our site about which accounts can be opened online, etc. Next slide. And so with that, please, I would encourage you to follow us on social media. There's our handle at LA County CFE. Our website address is dcba.lacounty.gov. And if you have questions about what we've just covered, please use the chat box to share those questions with us. And now I'll turn it back over to Mary to close us out and to tell us a little bit more about LA Saves.
Thank you, Donisha. That was a great presentation and really provides additional guidance on why you should have a bank account. So next slide. Since we have you all, I didn't want to pass up the opportunity to talk about savings. Waiting for the next slide there. There you go. So LA Saves is an initiative of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and the Alliance for Economic Inclusion. And it's about encouraging you to start saving for emergencies or for other kinds of things that you want to have money for. So start small and think big. Set a goal, make a plan, take action. So the lasaves.org website provides you with an opportunity to go in and make a pledge. You're just pledging to yourself that you're going to save whatever amount, $5 a month, $20 a month, and what your goal is to create emergency savings or maybe to buy a computer or for your down payment to purchase a home. And so you write in there, and the only identifying information is your zip code. So we kind of want to know where in Los Angeles County you're coming from, but we can't identify you. And also, if you provide us your email, because you do need an email to register. And if you'd like to receive text messages from us, provide us your phone number. And they're really great. You only get about 2 a month, but it has a savings tip or information. If you provide the email, you can also get newsletters, and it's a really great way to start saving and making a plan about how to do that. Next. So I wanted to wrap up today and say it's really important that you take action, that we appreciate you listening to us. But what you really ought to do is, what are you going to do with this information that we provided you? How are you going to do it? And to share your plans with someone. If you do, you're more likely to get it accomplished. And what do I mean? It's like, for example, if I think about losing weight, I just think about it. Sometimes nothing happens to it. But if I tell my friend, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and then she sees me eating an ice cream, she's going to tell me, I thought you were on a diet. So it really helps to share your plans. So like, you're going to open a bank account, tell them, I'm going to open a bank account, and they'll say, you want me to go with you to the bank? Have you opened it yet? It's just that reinforcement that helps us to actually take action. If you'd like to have more information or to visit the fdic.gov/education to learn more about this. And we just launched a new How Many Smart Are You game that you can log in and take online classes in a game format. Just launched a few days ago. And so I hope you'll visit us and look at that information for additional topics related to financial education. Next. We have a number of resources that you can get additional information. For example, a flyer on the top 10 reasons to open an account, the websites, and I hope you'll visit us and get additional information. And we look forward to seeing some questions coming in through the chat room. And next slide. I really want to thank you for participating today. And Lizette, I'll turn it over to you. Do we have any questions?
Let me see. Okay, so it looks like we do. And the first one is, how do I start shopping for a bank account?
Excellent question. So one of the documents that we have is a checklist that you can use to compare bank accounts. And I'll turn it over to Lakeisha, to Donisha, to talk about how they can find banks.
Yes. So on one of my slides, I showed an image of a matrix that we have available on our website. And so I think that is a very helpful resource to use. But taking a step back again, what's so great about the work that the CFE Fund has done in establishing this program is that they've helped to take a lot of the guesswork out of choosing an account because they've established national account standards for this program. So the financial institutions have to have checking accounts that meet those standards in order to be a part of this initiative. And that helps to standardize and really streamline the accounts that are available. So you aren't going to see significant variation from one financial institution to another for this particular initiative. So ultimately, most of the time, what it comes down to is geography. There may be a particular financial institution that has a branch that's close to your home or close to where you work. And so you just may find that by location, the convenience is what's more of an important factor to you because the accounts have been standardized. So I hope that helps to answer the question.
That's great. Actually, I also want to chime in that I've actually looked at the resource and it does a very nice comparison as to the pros and cons of certain accounts with certain banks. So it's a really nice resource. All right. So on the next thing, let me see here. Yes. So our next question is, will banks accept alternative forms of ID?
Excellent question. So some banks will accept an alternative. So for example, an ITIN card or, for your Social Security or identification card or some other kind of ID, like a work ID, they may accept it. So it's important to find out, if you don't have the standard ID, is to ask the bank what will they accept, and maybe what you have to offer them, because the bank does have to know their customers. So they do have to have documentation that says that they have identified the customer as part of the banking regulations.
Okay. Perfect. Let's see. I think I saw another question here. Oh, yes. Here's a few more.
Danisha wanted to add something.
Sure. Sorry.
Yes, if it's all right, I just wanted to mention that all of the financial institution partners are part of BankOn LA County accept alternative forms of ID. So that's really something that we're proud of, given that LA County is an incredibly diverse county and home to, a lot of immigrants. We're very proud that our financial institution partners are willing to do that for us here locally.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so let's see. Question number 3. Oh, here we go. I already am comfortable using a check cashing company. Why do I need a bank account?
Tanisha, do you want to answer that one?
Yes. So as I shared earlier, research has shown that unbanked people or underbanked people are prone to spending a lot of money on unnecessary fees, particularly check cashing fees. So each time you get paid, whether it's weekly or monthly, and you go to a check cashing business, they keep a percentage of that paycheck for their fee. And so if you were banked at a mainstream financial institution and had direct deposit, you would not have to pay that fee. And so when you add that up over the course of a lifetime, it's tens of thousands of dollars wasted. And so, no one has money to waste. And that's just one of the important advantages of being banked is being able to save on unnecessary fees. Mary, do you want to add to that?
No, I think that's, it's really the savings and the safety, because when you go to a check casher and you walk away with the money in your pocket, you could accidentally lose it. I mean, I've found $20 here or there in my lifetime on the street. It could be stolen.
Yeah.
And if you lose it, that's it. There's no way to get it back. But if you have a bank account and it's in the bank and you use the debit card and it's a fraud, or somebody else uses it and it's a fraudulent transaction, there's laws to protect you against any substantive loss. So it's safer. It's convenient because it's, your money's there. And particularly if you're employed and you're doing an automatic deposit for your payroll, it's that day the funds are good, the day they're deposited by your employer. So it's just a safety issue, as well as a cost issue, because you're going to be saving a lot of money by having a bank account. Additionally, as I think about it, it's also what I talked about, relationship building, because once you have your depository relationship and then you want to open a bank, get a loan to buy a car, or you want to buy a house, there you have to have a bank account. That's part of the whole process, because they're going to ask you for the last 2 years of where have you banked. And so those are important elements as you try to increase the foundation of your financial stability and begin to build wealth.
Okay, perfect. I also want to mention on a side note as to safety that most banks also have online banking and online apps. So that's another safety issue, that if you don't want to do the check cashing, like Danisha mentioned, the fees, extra fees, you can do online cashing and just deposit through the online app. So you can avoid all of that. Okay, so in the comments section, it looks like I see another question. Will this be rebroadcast? And yes, it will be. Our presentations, actually all of our LAPL's presentations are available on the YouTube and Facebook channels for the library. On Facebook, it will only be there for a week, but for a longer time on YouTube. Okay, so again, it will be available for a longer period on YouTube. So please go ahead and check out our LAPL's YouTube channel for some of our other programs that have been, I believe, recorded in the past, and for the programs that are coming up for financial planning. All right, then. So thank you again, Mary and Danisha, for joining us today, and for all of the participants who were here today for our program. Just want to mention a few things on the library side. Our financial planning programs will continue next week on Tuesday, October 12th, with investor protection from 6 to 7 p.m. and ending with financial planning day. On Saturday, October 16th, from 10 to 2 p.m., we will have free private telephone consultations with a certified financial planner on a variety of personal financial issues, including debt management, retirement planning, investment strategies, income taxes, insurance and estate planning, among many others. So please register online, and I hope that my colleague can put the link on the comment side so that way you guys can just go to it directly. Also, a list of the programs and subject-related books are available in the Financial Planning Week website, which is www.lapl.org/financial-planning. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and have a great afternoon, unless there are any other additional questions or comments that need to be made. Nope. All right then. Thank you again, Mary and Danisha, for being with us, and LAPL for hosting.
Thank you all.
Thank you.